Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 120 of the Nigerian Football Weekly podcast with me, your host, Oke. And boy, do I have another bumper episode for your listening pleasure. Today, some of the major talking points I'm going to be talking about is, of course, Ademola Lookman's bounce back after his war of words with Gasperini following Atalanta's shocking exit in the Champions League. I'll also be talking about Gift Urban scoring form and, of course, the annoying Carragher comments about AFCON, even though they tried to gaslight us and tell us that he knows what he meant, which is absolutely rubbish. And, of course, I'll be deep diving into how our players performed over the past week in Nigerian football in their clubs all around Europe. So without any further ado, I first wanted to start by saying shout out to every single listener and watcher. This past week, we officially crossed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is obviously a huge milestone for a small podcast like mine, where we're just trying to, bring Nigerian football and make sure we're giving the coverage that Nigerian players deserve in all their relative clubs in Europe, as well as the national team, as evidenced by the perception of Nigeria from what Carragher said yesterday. So honestly, that's the reason why I started this pod. But I really wanted to take time to say I really appreciate every single listener and looking forward to the road to 5,000. I think that's going to be my end goal for this year. Let's see if we could go from 1K to 5K by December. Also, I'm going to be starting live streams, especially when Nigeria's playing games. As we know, there's a lot of World Cup qualifiers to come starting in March. So look out for that, and please keep the comments coming. I know there was particularly a very strong reaction to my Lookman video about Gasperini's words. So thanks for all the subscribers, all the likes, all the comments, and all the sharing. So please continue to run it up for me. Share with your friends and fam. Anyone that likes Nigerian football, if they like the Super Eagles, they just like football, but they like Nigerian players, share it with them. Just be sharing the word everywhere, Sha. But yeah, we're going to continue. So without any further ado, what happened? Ademola Lookman, what can I say? What a response. Just a few days after Gasperini's nonsense war of words, what happened? Yesterday, Atalanta went away to Empoli to see if they could get their Serie A title race back on track, and best believe they did exactly that. They thrashed Empoli 5-0, with Ademola Lookman scoring two really good goals, which made me very happy. The first one, after he received the ball from his teammate, he dribbled the goalkeeper and literally walked the ball into the net like he's playing five-a-side, real star boy things. And then his second goal was one of his goals in the Europa League final. Got the ball, did a quick dribble, moved the ball onto his left foot and banged it straight into the top right corner of the net to make it 2-0. We know his manager Gasperini did not apologize. That man is such a stubborn Italian man. He even doubled down and said, Lookman should practice more pens. But we know he's stubborn. But we don't even care about Gasperini, man. The fact that he has to start Lookman tells you all you need to know about how important Lookman is. Look, we respect managers, but footballers are the most important thing in football. Look at Man City without Rodri right now. Look at Liverpool with Salah. Or look at Arsenal without Saka, Martinelli, Havertz and Jesus, and how toothless we look. In fact, we're literally a shadow of ourselves. So we respect managers, of course, they're very important, but make no mistake about who gets this thing jumping. It's the players, always. What a response. So what has Lookman now done? Lookman is now the fourth top scorer in the scoring charts in Serie A with 12 Serie A goals. And he's sixth on the assist charts with five assists. So he has 17 goal contributions in just 20 starts in Serie A this season. I hope you heard that correctly. That means he's almost 1-for-1 for all the games he's played in Serie A. That's how dominant he's been for Atalanta this season. Mind you, he's only started 18 of these games, even though he's made 20 appearances. Just unbelievable numbers. 24 goal and assists for the entire, if you add his Champions League performances and Coppa Italia as well. So there's no doubt in my mind he's one of the better players, if not, I don't know if there's been an outright best player in Serie A this season, but between him, Retegui, his teammate, Marcus Thuram, Moise Kean at Fiorentina. I think those four have been the best players in Serie A. It's a shame because Tijani Reinder's been playing really well for AC Milan, but they're a really useless club right now, man. But I'm telling you, Lookman, man, may you continue to shine, my star boy, and long may it continue. I love his caption on his social media post after that incident where he said paint power, top class mentality, and he always bounces back, man, like we've seen throughout his career. So fingers crossed for him. What I love about this is we know that he'll be leaving Atalanta in the summer. I'm sure there'll be big clubs circling. We know PSG were interested in him last summer, but now that they've signed Varaskelia, I don't know if they'll still be interested. But I'm sure even Prem teams will be looking at him because this is clearly an elite player who's entering the prime of his career and just beginning the prime of his career because he just turned 27. Now, the good news for Atalanta is despite all their annoyance are going out in the Champions League, they're just 3 points behind Inter Milan, who currently top Serie A. And they're only 2 points behind Napoli with 12 games to go. So it's all to play for, guys. Imagine him living with the Scudetto after Gasperini's years. Imagine if he's now the guy that then scores the main goals to then bring it home. I think that would be so fantastic to see. But if they win, it's going to be tough, though. They're going to play Juventus away on the 9th of March. They're going to play Milan away. They've got those 2 games to come, but they also play Inter Milan at home on the 16th of March. So the good thing is they get to play their direct rival to hopefully take some points off Inter, who in my opinion are still the best team in Serie A, even evidenced by how they performed in the Champions League. Now, in terms of the next weekend, the good news for Atalanta is the top 2, Inter versus Napoli, play each other at Napoli Stadium. So Atalanta, of course, will be hoping for a draw as they play Venezia at home. So if Atalanta could win the game and then Napoli and Inter draw, that means they will probably go ahead of Napoli and be just 1 point behind Inter. So a lot to play for is the whole point here. And when you look at the fixtures, Napoli play a lot of the heavyweights at home between now and the end of the season, including next week against Inter. Napoli also play Milan and Fiorentina at home, while Inter will play the Coppa Italia as well as the Champions League. Sure, it should be interesting to see how this Serie A title race goes because, let's be honest, over the past few seasons, Serie A has been the most interesting in terms of title races. So we, of course, hope for Atalanta to win because of Ademola Lookman, and we know what happened with Osimhen and Napoli, but let's see how it all goes. We also know that the La Liga title race is really heating up this year, and it looks like it's going to be a 3-horse race. So those 2 leagues in particular look like the ones that are not going to fall our hands, and we can actually enjoy some good football between now and the end of the season. So shout out to you, Lookman. I mean, what a way to just silence the critics and just do the talking with your feet as you've always done. Amazing, amazing, amazing performance. Gift Orban as well is a major talking point this week. His great form continues for Hoffenheim. He scored his 4th goal in 5 games recently. An amazing equalizer yesterday. He got the ball from Tom Bischoff and literally just caught the defender at one time and then banged it into the top left corner quite nicely. So fantastic finish that's showing that he's oozing quality and class, and his confidence is definitely getting back to where it used to be when he played for Ghent. So fair result for Hoffenheim. They're trying to avoid relegation, but they're now 7 points clear of the relegation playoff spots. So I think they're going to be fine, to be honest, especially with the kind of goals Orban is scoring for them. One thing that really pleases me is seeing Gift Orban score in a top 5 league. The irony of this all is Lyon did not think Orban was good enough, but the Bundesliga is a better league than Ligue 1. So who's missing out now? So hopefully he could just continue to do it for Hoffenheim, and he's done this in only 3 starts, by the way, in the Ligue. So some of his goals came when he was coming off the bench. So I really think that's a very, very good sign. Yes, we thought he might have been injured last week, but good to see that was literally just a minor issue that he shook off quite easily. Kevin Akpoguma also started this game, and long may this form continue for Gift Orban, and I hope that he also gets called up for the national team for our March qualifiers, because I think he kind of deserves it, to be honest. Another major talking point, we had a few injuries for Nigerian players over the past week in their club sides. The good thing to just caveat is it's still 3 weeks away. So, who do we see get injured with less than a month to our crucial games against Rwanda? Rafa Onyeka was taken off for Club Brugge over the weekend in the 23rd minute. Dele-Bashiru was also taken off in Lazio's game as they drew. He got taken off in the 40th minute, and then we saw Semi Ajayi taken off in the 41st minute in just his 3rd game back. To be honest, we're not sure of the nature of Onyeka's injury yet. Fisayo's zone was a collision with Venezia's Alessio Zerbin, who used to play for Napoli, so we just have to watch and see how things play out for him. While Semi Ajayi looks like he'll be out to the middle of March, so he'll most likely not be in the squad. Now, Semi Ajayi, we know that he featured heavily in the back 3, with the former coach's preference for a back 3. But I feel like if Eric Chelle is going to play a back 4, Semi Ajayi is not getting into the squad right now ahead of Calvin Bassey. I mean, starting lineup ahead of Calvin Bassey and the captain, Trustekong. So I'm not as worried about Semi Ajayi not playing. And me personally, I like Semi Ajayi as a human being, but I really don't like how Semi Ajayi plays with the ball at his feet, man. Like, no offense, there's a reason he plays in the championship, so it's not that bad. Fisayo, we know Fisayo's an X factor. We've seen what he's done for Nigeria and the limited caps he's had for us. So hopefully he gets a speedy recovery. Now, Onyeka worries me the most because Onyeka is definitely going to be a pillar of our midfield going forward. So hopefully it's nothing too serious, and we'll even see him recover in time to play in the Champions League next set of fixtures as Club Brugge play Aston Villa. So look out for that one. Super Eagles list will still come in like maybe 2 weeks' time, since the games are in 3 weeks. So expect an announcement probably in like 10 days. But look out for that. I just wanted to quickly mention that who are the players that, based on performances so far, we think could break into the squad. I'm not talking about the usual suspects. We already know who the usual suspects are anyway. I think Uche has a very, very big chance, considering how he's been performing for Getafe in a top 5 league. We know Spain is one of the better leagues. At the moment, based on coefficient, they're now number 3 after Italy. So that goes to what I was saying about Italy as well. But Uche is performing so well for Getafe, and I think he's earned a spot, especially with his versatility at being able to play as a central midfielder, a cam, as well as a striker. I also think Eric Chelle is going to have a big headache when it comes to strikers, because whether it's Gift Urban, who scored 4 in his last 5 games, and really has one thing I like about Gift Urban, he knows how to strike a ball. I mean, go and look at all his goals. There's a guy that he shoots the ball as if he's disgusted with the ball, and I love to see. Tolu Akodare, also top goal scorer in the Belgian league. As much as I want Arokodare there, I also have to caveat with the Belgian league, because I saw the way Onuachu destroyed the Belgian league like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So I always have to caveat with how strong the league is, even with how they're playing, it's still the Belgian league for a reason, And then also, I think George Ilenikhena, if I'm Nigeria, this boy is 18 years old. I know he's waiting for French passports, but he was born in Lagos. He's a Nigerian. He's Nigerian, but that's nationality. Even Monaco post all the time, Nigeria. Go and call Ilenikhena up. We saw what he did in the Champions League. He was very, very unlucky to go out as Monaco struggled against Benfica. It looked like he'd scored the goal that would take them through, but unfortunately, 3 minutes later, we saw Benfica score an equalizer. So there is a world where you'd even call up 2 of these players out of 3, because I don't think we need more than 3 strikers, considering we only play with 1, which we already know will be Victor Osimhen. But there's a world where you're going to call up 2 of these players to back up Osimhen, because Boniface in the past few weeks has been on the bench due to Patrick Schick's good form for Bayer Leverkusen. And we know that Boniface has not exactly set the world alight when he's worn that Super Eagles jersey. So just a few things to think about, and just thoughts of mine around the Super Eagles, because we're always excited to watch the national team. So look out for that. And then finally, major things I wanted to cover. I just wanted to talk about this Jamie Carragher nonsense AFCON comments. I'm full disclosure, I live in London, so I hear this thing a lot. In fact, if I'm being honest, this is one of the reasons I started the podcast, as I mentioned earlier. Once again, British exceptionalism at play again. You think England have won a trophy in the last 59 years with the way some of their citizens or pundits talk, if I'm being honest. Yes, you have the best league in the world, but your national team ain't won man, since you were colonizing half the world and TV was in black and white. So let's respect ourselves. He said it is a fact that Salah is not playing in the major tournaments, so it's going to be based on the UCL or nothing for him to be judged on, unlike Vinicius Jr. or Mbappe. What stupid comments. He then got called out by Michael Richards and Sturridge. Thank God the black people there who even understand the importance of AFCON. No, thank God though. That is indeed a big tournament. Even Sky charted the rights to show AFCON last year to show you how important it was. He then even went on to say Egypt aren't going to win the World Cup, are they? Mate, neither are England, excuse my French. Like England, who last won it when I just said in 1966, over almost 60 years ago. So don't come here with no high hopes about England or Tommy Tuchel's his goal is to win the World Cup. Bro, you haven't won it in so long. Like, relax. Who the hell are you? Who do you think you're talking? That means everybody that's English, that's 66 and above, literally has no memory of seeing their country win any tournaments. But yet, they'll be carrying shoulder because it's England and they play in Wembley. Come on, let's respect ourselves, please. That was really, really rubbish, and it really pissed me off. Was he not at the 2022 World Cup when he saw what Morocco did and got to the semi-final? I think it's because England went out with the whimper and they beat a Senegal team that don't have Sadio Mane 3-0. If Sadio Mane played, it might have been a different story. But just annoyingly disrespectful. He then scoffed and was aside like, oh, you know how British people can be so sinister, eh? And that's just the way they do. Belittle, gaslight, scoff. But look, we see through all of this, man. And anyone that's going to try and gaslight and say, oh, it's not that deep, it's you that is not that deep for, because you don't understand what we're going through, trying to explain the importance of what the national team means to our countries and places back home. When AFCON is on, you see how 200 million people in the whole of Nigeria will sit up, and it's the one thing that unites the whole country. Then you now see one arrogant oaf now mention something online about disrespecting Nigeria and our football or AFCON in general. Please, nonsense. I wish Salah would just come out and, how he replies them on Twitter sometimes. He's just going to reply Carragher that, please, you don't know that winning something with Egypt is more important than all these trophies with Liverpool. I hope he just says something like that. Yes, you could say, okay, the Euros gets more money because they have more top sides playing in there. But there's no other continental competition that compares to AFCON. Even in the entertainment value, we all watched the Euros last year at AFCON. I know what tournament I preferred watching. Remove bias, remove sentiment. Like, trust me, entertainment, quality on show, the level of refereeing, literally the pitches, the vibrance, the enjoyment, the colors, everything was A1. And this same English media, if you know the way they rely on African players, which is what even brings about these twinged nonsense statements from them, is because every team in England, except for maybe like one or two, has an African player. Even the clubs that don't have players who play for an African country, a lot of them have players of African descent. So how can you say something so churlish and so stupid, in my opinion? Excuse my French, but we have to say it the right way it is. I mean, do we not see England struggle to beat Slovakia in the last Euros? Do we not see them beat Switzerland on pens? Manuel Akonji that plays for Switzerland, do you think he will ever win a trophy playing for Switzerland? Do you not think he can win AFCON playing for Nigeria? Don't even try me, man. I hate that kind of rubbish. And don't even get me started on Copa America. That tournament that they invite 3 or 4 people just to make up the numbers. And once you qualify from the group, you go straight to the quarterfinals. Is it because there's Brazil and Argentina in the tournament that all of a sudden you say Copa America has respect in level that we don't? It's not even a better tournament by any stretch. Even the Carragher talking, I bet you didn't watch Copa America with the time difference. So this nonsense and disrespect needs to stop, and then belittling Africa. Anyway, let's go. I blame us a little bit small, you know. Thank God that AFCON is in December, and I'm so glad that Morocco are getting to host it, because we know they're one of the best, if not the best, on the continent at showing the Europeans and the rest of the world that, look, Africa is very competent. Whether it comes to facilities, pitches, their style of play, their team, as evidenced by what they did in the World Cup. And one thing I particularly love about Morocco, they're very good at getting dual nationals to play for Morocco. We even heard today that a 16-year-old that is English too decides to play for Morocco. Go and check any player that is 18, 19, 20, 21 that is half Moroccan, half Belgian, or half Moroccan, half Dutch, half Moroccan, half Spanish. Trust me, then they rush Morocco for a reason. So we all need to learn from our neighbors up north and how they're doing this. And look, it's not rocket science. We all know the passion for our countries are already there. It will never go away. But can you bring the project to them and show them? Look at Brahim Diaz and he started his Moroccan career compared to Spain. Hakimi even scored the goal to knock out Spain, even though he was born and raised there. So I don't want to hear that rubbish again. Anyway, so we'll see what our boys do in AFCON in December. And also, I hope these players of African origin wake up, because there's always this sinister disrespect that would always come. You know, it's all well and good playing for European nations and feeling like, okay, you're from there. Nobody's denying you're from there. Even myself, you know, I enjoy perks of being from this gloomy island. But when it comes to football and passion, I know where my heart firmly stands. So please, let's respect ourselves. This same Carragher played in the time where Drogba, Essien, Yaya, Okocha, Mikel, Mahrez, Adebayo, we know how all these players would fight their clubs and teams just to make sure they go to AFCON during the middle of the season. It's not our fault we have a different climate. We can't play AFCON in the summer like other countries all the time, because we have a tropical rainforest weather. Sometimes we have to play it in January or December. So just suck it up. There's nobody that cares more about their bloody club than their international country. You know, it's not our fault. You serve England, you're always excited. I love Arsenal in my life, but I love Nigeria more. I love Super Eagles more. So let that rubbish just stop, because this disrespect is too much. And I'm hoping that when we have 9 African countries in the next World Cup, we'll really show them who's boss and let them know, like, look, enough of this rubbish. All in all, we need to see this kind of nonsense and call it out. And ultimately, this will only change by how we respect ourselves and how we perform in the World Cups. And people like us and you guys listening and watching continue to support AFCON and promote Nigerian football. When Nigeria are playing World Cup qualifiers, AFCON qualifiers, watch. I would always promote it. How do we bring back the love? Yes, we know the NFF can be useless, but let's do our small part. And hopefully, everybody in the ecosystem will continue to do what needs to be done to build our country's reputation and Africa as a whole. Because what do you mean Salah winning AFCON cannot help him? Salah is a golden boy, man. Obviously, I hope he doesn't win because I need Nigeria to win. But if we don't win, no more Mamouche, come and help Salah. Make he collect his AFCON. Call nonsense, Copa America, call. Every time they'll play Brazil, Argentina in the final, they will not be winning 1-0. They will not be smiling their teeth. Rubbish. Anyway, so that's it in terms of major talking points, but I'll try and quickly whiz through my talking points for the week, starting as usual with the Premier League. So the Nottingham Forest boys were in action this weekend against Newcastle at St James's Park. It wasn't the best outing for them, even though they scored first 2 Hudson Odoi, and that's another player. You see, the people at Hudson Odoi piss me off. You're not going to get caught up by England. Ghana invited to come and prostrate in front of their presidential palace. You're not still playing for Ghana. Why? Ghana, go and talk to your people. I don't like the way these players disrespect you. But anyway, Odoi scored to make it 1-0, but Newcastle beat them 4-3. Aina considered a penalty, which was a bit harsh, if I'm being honest, but also he didn't put his arms by his side. So obviously, when he tried to block a cross, it hit his hand and was a penalty. But better luck for Nottingham Forest. They need to fix up. They're still third, but only by 3 points over Man City and Newcastle. And they play Arsenal next on Wednesday in the Premier League. So this week, there's going to be Premier League football during the weekdays. So look out for that starting from tomorrow. Also in the FA Cup will then take place over this weekend. So a lot of our clubs will not be. There's no Premier League games this weekend. But if your club's still in the FA Cup, watch out for your team. So Nottingham Forest will play Ipswich Town at home on Monday next week, 7:30 p.m. Alex Iwobi on the other hand and Calvin Bassey both started for Fulham, but they lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace were fantastic in this game, man. It's just a shame that Joachim Andersen scored an own goal in this game, which against former side, that must have hurt. That must have been very annoying. And then the goal that Muno scored, if you see Jean-Philippe Mateta's run, man, Mateta just carried the ball like 50 yards, just played to Munoz. And then Munoz, he really did Calvin Bassey, man. Just did like a little shimmy. Bassey just shook. He just moved the ball to his right leg and banged it straight into the top corner. So better luck next time for Fulham, but it looks like they will definitely get better luck because tomorrow night, Tuesday, so today's Monday, they're going to be playing Manchester United. No, they're not playing Manchester United. They're playing Wolves away tomorrow first. And then in the FA Cup, they'll play Manchester United away on Sunday. So good luck to Fulham, and I know who I would expect to win that game against Man United right now. As for Leicester, I'm with Ndidi. Man, Leicester are going down. There's no need to talk too much. They lost 4-0 at home to Brentford. Their manager, Van Stroy, even looks like he's already lost faith. He's saying things like, well, we played against a better team. Every time we play against better teams, we lose. Bro, you're the coach. Coach the team. Ndidi, I don't know why Ndidi resigned his contract to play in that team, man. It's become so bad. All the promoted teams just come up and just go down straight away. It's so annoying. But anyway, I hope he has a relegation clause in his contract because we know he resigned last summer. Next up for them, though, they play West Ham away on Thursday. So hopefully they get some points, but it's very unlikely. And then also relegation confirmers. Southampton, they're definitely going down. Southampton lost 4-0 to Brighton. Aribo played the whole match. Onuachu played 18 minutes. They're just useless. And they're going to lose tomorrow again. No need to talk too much. They're playing Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge. I'm even going captain Kopama because, man, Southampton are disgracefully useless. Other results to be aware of. Last week, Wednesday, we saw Aston Villa draw 2-2 against Liverpool at Villa Park. That obviously gave Arsenal fans hope, but that was quickly extinguished on Saturday after Arsenal lost to West Ham at home. Arsenal are just rubbish. I don't want to praise that team or say anything. Very, very arrogant and disrespectful club. You not go and sign striker. The most important thing in football is putting the ball in the back of the net. You now say you want to play the season without striker. It's arrogance now. It's idiotic behavior. But anyway, it's not about Arsenal today. On Saturday, we then saw Everton draw 2-2 against Man United. Commiserations to Everton for not getting the penalty that would have made it 3-2. But I wanted to shout out Bruno Fernandes for his captain performance. Really, really good from him. Matthias Cunha scored yet again for Wolverhampton as they beat Bournemouth 1-0. Tottenham beat Ipswich Town 4-1 in a proper thrashing. Southampton lost 4-0 to Brighton, which I already mentioned. Aston Villa beat Chelsea 2-1. I mean, what performance from Marcus Rashford with 2 assists in that game. I don't know what Arsenal were doing. I know that they said they already made 2 lows, but I've terminated Sterling's loan now. I'm going to go and get Rashford because now we're looking like really in these players. And then, of course, yesterday, champions-elect Liverpool literally put a seal on their championship aspirations. Basically, they can already start bringing out the champagne because they're now 11 points ahead of Arsenal, even though we have a game in hand, after they went to the Etihad and beat Man City 2-0, which was their first win at that stadium since 2015. Games going on in the Premier League over the midweek. Tomorrow, we'll see Brighton play Bournemouth at the Amex Stadium. Crystal Palace hosts Aston Villa. Wolves also host Fulham. And Chelsea hosts Southampton. On Wednesday, we've got another 5 games for your viewing pleasure. Brentford hosts Everton at the G-Tech. Tottenham will then host Manchester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Man United will then host Ipswich Town at Old Trafford. And then we will see Nottingham Forest host Arsenal at the City Ground before Liverpool round up the fixtures on Wednesday by hosting Newcastle at Anfield. On Thursday, we will then see the final set of fixtures as West Ham host Leicester City. So as I said, Liverpool champions-elect is done, man. Arsenal are second with 6 points ahead of Nottingham Forest, and the Nottingham Forest are currently third with 47 points, with Man City and Newcastle currently occupying fourth and fifth with 44 points each. The good thing to note is the race for the top four is going to be very interesting, even though Premier League is likely to have 5 spots in the Champions League, because fourth all the way down to ninth, Brighton and ninth, are separated by 4 points. So there's a lot to play for. In fact, if you add Fulham and Brentford, you could even argue that 4th to 11th, this is not argue, it's fact, are separated by 7 points. So there's all to play for. And all these teams are looking quite good. Man United remain 15th. I have to call that out because it's quite interesting to see. And of course, all the promoted teams are looking like they're going to go down. Southampton have 9 points, while Ipswich and Leicester are on 17 points each. Wolverhampton are just above relegation zone in 22 points, but they're 5 points ahead of Ipswich Town, and they've won 3 games more. So I really doubt Wolves are going to mess it up, especially with Cunha performing well. So that's it in terms of the Premier League and how the games went over the past week. Moving on to Serie A, and I've just spoken about what Ademola Lookman has been able to do over the past week, so no need to rehash that. But congratulations to Atalanta, and next up for them, they play Venezia at home on Saturday, and hopefully he will continue to bag goals for his side. Dele-Bashiru, as I said, was taken off in the 40th minute for Lazio in their 0-0 draw against Venezia. They are 5th, and I think they're level on points to Juventus, so they're still in the hunt for that final Champions League spot. But Juventus have started to hit form recently, even though they were useless in the Champions League. So look out for that one. Next up for Lazio, they play Inter away in the Coppa Italia tomorrow, and then they play AC Milan away on Sunday. So that's going to be a very interesting tie and fixture. AC Milan, on the other hand, continue to stutter, man. They're so useless, man. I can't even. First of all, they're out of the Champions League. They drew 1-1 against Feyenoord. They were winning 1-0. Next thing you know, their captain, Theo Hernandez, decided to dive, so he got sent off. And Feyenoord scored a brilliant goal to make it 1-1 and 2-1 on aggregate. And then Chukwueze, the writing's on the wall. He's not going to be there for that long. He came on to play a grand total of 2 minutes over the weekend as Torino beat AC Milan 2-1 on Saturday. So next up for them, they play Bologna away on Thursday, and then they play Lazio at home on Sunday. And then hopefully we'll see Maduka back very soon. Next up for Udinese, they play Parma at home on Saturday, so let's see if he's back for that game. In the Bundesliga, Nathan Tella was out of the squad due to a hip injury, while Victor Boniface played the final 7 minutes for Bayer Leverkusen in a 2-0 win over Holstein Kiel. No surprise there because Patrick Schick has been playing very well, the Czech Republic striker. I was even looking at the charts and I realized that Patrick Schick has scored 15 goals in the league. No penalties this season. So, man, it's like Boniface going to have to hold that bench, man, for now. And good luck to him in the meantime. You know, next up for Leverkusen, though, they play third place Eintracht Frankfurt away on Saturday, so that's not going to be an easy game. But I'm sure they've probably given up their hopes of winning the league. But they have the opportunity for revenge, because they'll be playing Bayern Munich in the Champions League, so look out for that game. I already spoke about Gift Urban's exploits for Hoffenheim in their 1-1 draw against Stuttgart at home. Shout out to the Hoffenheim goalkeeper Philip. He made like 10 saves, man. He saved Hoffenheim in this game. But then Gift Urban, of course, did what needed to be done by scoring the equalizer. Next up for Hoffenheim, they play Bochum away on Saturday, so good luck to Orban, and let's see if he continued the great form. Frank Onyeka's Olberg, on the other hand, really put the sword to Mönchengladbach on Saturday with a 3-0 win, so they're comfortably mid-table right now in 11th place, and Onyeka continues to start games. Next up for them, though, they play Freiburg at home on Sunday. In La Liga, Cristiano Uche was not in the squad for Getafe due to an injury, as they lost 2-1 to Real Betis. Anthony continues to play well for Real Betis, and Isco continues to play well as well. He scored 2 goals in that game. Hopefully his injury is not too serious, because as I said, I would love to see him in the Nigerian national team for our March qualifiers. So let's see what happens before their game against Leganes away on Sunday. As for Chidera Ejuke was on the bench for Sevilla. As for Akko Adams, he's currently out due to a hamstring strain, so we wish him a speedy recovery ahead of I think he'll be back by early March. So watch out for that one with Akko Adams. And then finally, Umar Sadiq played 74 minutes as Valencia got thrashed by Atletico Madrid 3-0. Hopefully they will have some better days when they play Osasuna away at 8 p.m. In Ligue 1, we saw Ilenikhena come off the bench in the Champions League, as I mentioned, against Benfica. His goal would have taken the time to extra time, but then they conceded 3 minutes later and the game ended 3-3 and they lost 4-3 on aggregate. So very, very unlucky for Monaco, but Ilenikhena did his repetition, no harm whatsoever. On Saturday, he played 26 minutes as Monaco lost 2-1 to Lille in the league. So they're currently 5th and they're struggling to make the Champions League spots. Next up for them, though, they play Reims on Friday. So let's see how they perform in that game. Speaking of Lille, Chuba Akpom did start that game that they beat Monaco 2-1. He didn't score assists, but must be a decent performance. Next up for them, though, they play PSG away. So they play the real big boys. And we know PSG, they're kind of like the big bully right now in Ligue 1. They're just steamrolling all their opponents. It's quite funny to observe. As for Nantes and Osayi-Samuel, they bounced back from their 7-1 thrashing against Monaco to beat Lens 3-1 on Sunday. The senior man himself also scored a penalty in that 3-1 victory. So continue their great performances, Osayi-Samuel. Next up for them, they go to Marseille away to play Roberto De Zerbi's side on Sunday night, 7:45 p.m. Speaking of Lens, Hamza Ojedira was not in the squad for that loss to Nantes, so let's see if he gets some minutes as they play Le Havre at home on Saturday. And finally, Gabriel Osho played 90 minutes for Auxerre as they beat Marseille 3-0. Very, very strong performance from Auxerre. They're now up to 12th in the league and they play Strasbourg at home on Sunday. So that's it in terms of the top 5 leagues in Europe. So just to quickly round up the podcast with the final leagues in Europe and talking about the ones to watch and our star boys of the week. Starting in Turkey, Victor Osimhen played 80 minutes for Galatasaray as they tried to do a rescue job in the Europa League on Thursday, but they're already down 4-1 from the first leg. Unfortunately, they drew the game 2-2 even though Osimhen scored, and they're now out of the Europa League. Rightfully so, to be honest. They were shocking. Earlier today, though, Galatasaray played Fenerbahce in the top-of-the-table clash in Turkey. They even had to hire a referee that was not Turkish just to make sure there's no problem. But the game ended 0-0, so Galatasaray continued to lead by 6 points, and it looks like they've maintained their grip on top spot. Out of 24 games so far, they've won 20 and they've drawn 4. So Galatasaray are yet to lose a league game this season. I watched the final 30 minutes of this game, and the security was crazy, man. Like, bro, they had to put like security guards to block the halfway line to separate the Fenerbahce players and Galatasaray players at the end of the match. So that was quite interesting to see. But with 12 games to go, I would expect Galatasaray to get the job done. And we know they have that winning DNA in Turkey. Next up for them, though, they play Konyaspor at home in the Turkish Cup on Thursday before they play Kasımpaşa away on Sunday. As for Bright Osayi-Samuel, he was not new sub in the game earlier today for Fenerbahce. But in the Europa League, he did start in Fenerbahce's 2-2 draw against Anderlecht, which meant they won 5-2 on aggregate. So if there's any consolation for Fenerbahce and Jose Mourinho, they will be the one sole Turkish representative left in either the Champions League or the Europa League going forward for the rest of the season. Next up for them, they'll also be in Turkish Cup action on Thursday playing Gaziantep, and then they'll play Antalyaspor at home on Sunday. Moving on to Portugal, Zedu Sanusi was on the bench. They're just benching Sanusi is the whole point. He's not playing games. Porto lost to Roma in the Europa League, so Porto are out. And I looked at Porto's game today as they're about to play Vitória de Guimarães, and he's on the bench again. So I'm hoping that there'll be some good news for Sanusi. But in his defense, the new manager prefers a back 3 with 3 centre backs, so he plays 2 wing backs. But he likes to play a bit more attacking full backs who are almost like wingers. So maybe he just doesn't see a place for Sanusi at the moment. But let's see. We'll see if he gets some minutes at the end of the game today, or if he ends up getting some minutes against Aruka away on Saturday. In Belgium, Tellura Godare played 77 minutes as Genk drew a blank against Ghent on Sunday. They're still top of the league, but then they play Sporting Charleroi on Friday. Speaking of Ghent, Jonathan Noriga initially played 90 minutes on Thursday as Ghent beat Real Betis on Thursday, but they went out of the Europa Conference League because they lost the first leg 3-0. He also then played 90 minutes in this 0-0 draw against Tellura Godare, so fair play to him for keeping a clean sheet, although the reward is he gets to play Club Brugge next at home on Sunday. Speaking of Club Brugge, Rafael Ndidi, of course, played in that big game for Club Brugge as they beat Atalanta, which I mentioned in my post about Lookman, 3-1 in the Champions League. And as a reward, they will now play Aston Villa in the round of 16. If there's one thing I think will also change the perception of how we are rated, all this AFCON kind of nonsense, is how we perform on the big clubs. So when you look at the top 16 teams left in the Champions League, literally Club Brugge. Chuba Akpom Aleo, he hasn't played for Nigeria, but we'll add him into the list. And of course, the Leverkusen boys. How could I forget the Leverkusen boys? Whenever we're suffering or we're in doubt, the Leverkusen boys prop us up and help us with some positive vibes. So in reality, we still have Onyeka, we have Chuba Akpom, and we have Nathan Tella and Victor Boniface left in the Champions League. So not as bad as I thought anyway. So keep it up, and we hope that Onyeka gets, we wish him a speedy recovery because he played 23 minutes against Standard Liège before his injury, which I already mentioned. So let's see if he's back by the weekend, or if not, let them just keep it on ice a big. In Czech Republic, Slavia Prague continued to romp away into the league title. Igor Ugbo played 90 minutes and scored a goal, actually, as Slavia Prague beat their rivals, second place Victoria Pilsen 3-1 away, with Igor Ugbo scoring the final goal with a header. So fantastic news on Sunday. They're now 13 points ahead of Victoria Pilsen, and they're running away with the league. The good thing for them is, ironically, because of how good Victoria Pilsen are performing in the Europa League, Czech Republic has now jumped into the top 10 leagues in the UEFA coefficient for this season. So Igor Ugbo and Slavia Prague beating Victoria Pilsen means to now rub insult into injury. Based on Victoria Pilsen's good performances in the Europa League, Slavia Prague are likely to get an automatic spot into the Champions League. So I hope that happens and we can see Ugbo there, even though we know the Czech Republic teams did really rubbish in Europe this season apart from Pilsen. So quite an interesting one to see. But speaking of Victoria Pilsen, Nigeria striker Rafiu Drosimi scored 2 goals last weekend, and he got a goal and an assist in their game in the Europa League on Thursday before they got their asses handed to them by their rival Slavia Prague. In Greece, Onyeka was on the bench boy right now, man. It's not even fair. But let's see if he gets some minutes against AEK Athens at home on Wednesday in the Greek Cup. And then they play AEK Athens away in the league on Sunday. So back to back. Let's see what happens there. Cyril Dessers played 90 minutes for Rangers. They lost 2-0 to St. Mirren. That was the final straw. Their manager, Philip Clement, was sacked, and they've now hired Barry Ferguson, who's a club legend, to steer the ship for the main time. But to be honest, they have nothing good to play for. They're out of everything. So they play Kilmarnock away on Wednesday, then they play Motherwell at home on Saturday. I wanted to also shout out Daniel Daga, who plays for Molde FC of Sweden. Daniel Daga played 20 minutes for Molde in their Conference League tie on Thursday. And then he came on. He also took a penalty for Molde as they won 5-4 after winning 1-0 in regulation time. Unfortunately for Sweden, because of the climate, they're still in pre-season, but they will play Liga Warsaw of Poland in the round of 16 at the start of March. So Daniel Daga is one to watch. Keen Nigeria watchers will know that Daniel Daga is one of our most important players for the under-20 side. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was even the captain of our team last year or 2 years ago. So I just wanted to bring that one up, especially with the death of midfielders or the fact that we can do with more midfield options in the national team. So look out for that. And then finally, Stein Nwabali played 90 minutes and made 5 saves for Chippa United as they lost 1-0 to Sekuhune United on Saturday. Proper mid-table team, man. Chippa United. They're 9th in the PSL. There's 16 teams. And I mean, I need Nwabali to come to Europe, man. Like, you're Nigeria's number 1. Yes, you haven't let us down, but you're clearly far better than where you're playing, in my opinion. You know. But next up for them, they play Richards Bay on Saturday. Quickly to round up with the ones to watch. Tomorrow there's Premier League football to watch. So Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey's Fulham go away to the Molineux to play Wolverhampton Wanderers. And they will also see Aribo and Onuachu come to visit Stamford Bridge as Southampton play Chelsea away. On Wednesday, the Nottingham Forest boys Aina and Taiwo Awoniyi go play Arsenal at home. 8:30 p.m. kickoff in Nigeria. And then Ndidi's Leicester will be going away to play West Ham United at the London Stadium on Thursday. During the weekend, there's no Premier League football, so it's FA Cup. But in the other leagues, we will see Ademola Lookman's Atalanta host Venezia at home as they look to keep their title bid going. We will also see Boniface and Nathan Tella play for Bayer Leverkusen away against Eintracht Frankfurt. So look out for that one, 6:30 p.m. Nigeria time. And then PSG will be playing Lille. That's a big game. So let's see what Akpoguma can do against the runaway league leaders in France. And then on Sunday, we'll see Victor Osimhen's Galatasaray play Kashimpasa away. We'll also see the Fulham boys, Iwobi and Bassey, go to Old Trafford to play Manchester United in the FA Cup. 5:30 p.m. Nigeria time. We have a clash of Nigerians in Serie A with Samuel Chukwueze's AC Milan hosting Fisayo Dele-Bashiru's Lazio. But of course, we know that Fisayo will likely be out based on his injury. And Chukwueze is likely to be a bench guy in this match. But look out for that one. And then we'll see Moses Simon's not go away to play Roberto De Zerbi's Marseille away. 8:45 p.m. kickoff in Nigeria. Finally, on Monday in the FA Cup, we'll see Ola and Tella when he's Nottingham Forest host Ipswich Town at the City Ground. So look out for that in terms of the ones to watch for the week. Finally, in the Star Boy of the Week for this week, I have to give the bronze medal to Moses Simon, senior man in the national team. You know, after his team lost 7-1, even though he played well and got the assist for the goal non-scored in that game, to bounce back in a 3-1 win and also score one goal, even if it was for the penalty spot. Shout out to you, and you will get the bronze medal for this week. Silver medalist, I have to give to Gift Orban. Finally finding his feet in the top 5 league, doing his thing for Hoffenheim. 4 goals in his last 5 appearances, and my word, it was such a sexy finish. Like I said, this guy can really blast the ball, you know. So shout out to him, and Hoffenheim, keep up the good work as you stay clear of relegation. But gold medal for this week has to go to one person and one person only. The current African Footballer of the Year, Ademola Lookman, Aribo, as some people call him. 3 goals in 2 games since he returned from injury. We know what he did for Atalanta, even in that loss to Club Brugge. To Club Brugge. But then yesterday, to then back it up after everything that's happened and the hoopla with your manager, to come on the pitch, obviously he has to start you because you're a senior boy. But you then score a brace, dribble the goalkeeper, put the ball into the net, show these people the kind of skills you're made of. Just an all-round sexy performance from a star player, you know. So, superstar material. Just keep your head down. Hopefully it will result in a Scudetto in the summer, so you can even give down to Gasperini and say, look at what I've done for you. You know, you ain't great. You know, 17 goal contributions in 20 league games cannot be sniffed at. I'm just an absolute superstar player. And it's good that he's getting on form because we're going to need him for Nigeria, as we always do. So shout out to you, Ademola Lookman. You are the star boy of the week. One thing I just wanted to mention before rounding up the podcast, Thames is making big moves in the world of business and music, of course. It was announced last week that she's bought a stake in San Diego FC, which is the new expansion team that's been added to the MLS as a franchise. And speaking of San Diego FC, yesterday they kicked off their inaugural season in MLS with a 2-0 win over LA Galaxy, the defending champions. So very impressive for them, you know. I mean, I've gotten the guy who scored, this Danish guy. I saw the goals. Fantastic finishes as well. If you see the counter-attack when it was 1-0 in the last minute, those ones that are now hit the back. Boing! So shout out to you, Thames. Looks like your investment's already paying off. And I think we should always highlight and showcase when Nigerians do amazing things. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. As I said, thanks again for getting me to 1,000. Looking forward to the road to 5,000. I want to shout out every single listener. I see all the comments. I read everything. And we're really just trying to level up this pod as we keep going. So please keep running up the numbers. Share the word. Spread the word. Give me feedback. I know today was a bit long, but I'll try and keep it short and concise. But I had a few things to get off my chest. Next week's episode will drop slightly later on Tuesday because I'm going to be in some sunshine environment. But best believe that we're going to keep the content coming and coming and coming. But until next time, thanks for listening. Enjoy the football this week, and congratulations if your team did not win. But of course, take care. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Nigerian Football Weekly. Take care. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigeriano the ever carry last.